Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Marcel with Healthy Homemaking. Today I am making Italian sausage lasagna, and I'm starting here by putting about a couple of tablespoons of olive oil into a skillet. And I start by making the sauce always because I like it to cook for a while. And I'm adding about 1 onion, which will give you 1 cup to 1.5 cups of diced onion or chopped. It's up to you how chunky you like your sauce. So I just like to saute the onion in the olive oil for about 5 minutes until it's translucent. And that gives a good base to your sauce. It's a lot more flavorful than if you just start adding everything. So that's what I'm doing there. And now I am actually putting some boiling water into a pan with the noodles. I don't like to boil it on the stove. This is so much easier. So I just let it stay there for about 20 minutes or so. And then they are soft and delicious, and you don't need another pot of boiling water. So that's what I'm doing there while I make the sauce. And now you can see that the onions look translucent. They've cooked for about 5 minutes. I actually set a timer. I like to do that because it keeps me focused. And now I'm adding some garlic. This was about 4 cloves of garlic. I like my sauce garlicky. You can add, half of that much garlic, maybe 2 cloves or so. I like to add 4. So that's really to taste. It depends on how garlicky you like your food. So I like to saute that for a few seconds. You have to be careful so that the garlic doesn't burn. So make sure you are adjusting your stove and the heat under that skillet. So now I'm going to add 1 pound of Italian sausage, and that's what makes this actually very budget friendly. It's only 1 pound of meat, and you know how expensive meat is now. And you can feed up to 8 people with this lasagna, so it's a great thing to do. So I like to break it up with a spoon. That really helps the meat to brown evenly. And you're really trying to get the pink out of the meat because it's not going to get caramelized because the onions have enough liquid in them that they won't allow it to get caramelized. But now you're really marrying those flavors in the skillet, and that's what you're trying to do. So this takes, a good 7 to 10 minutes. You have to be patient. You don't have to break it up the whole time. So just when you first put it in the skillet, start breaking it up and mixing it in with the onions and garlic like that. So it takes some time, but it pays to be patient. Here's the thing about being a good cook. You have to be patient. You can't rush good food. So that's one of the reasons why I try to stay away from what they call fast food. I like to make it at home. So let's let this brown. As you can see there, it's been browning. So most of the pink is gone now. I like to mix it up like that. And now I'm adding tomato paste, 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I like to buy it in 6-ounce cans because I never use more than that at one time. And I like to mix that in, make sure it browns a little bit on the bottom. If you're cooking the tomato paste, you're cooking out that raw tomato paste taste. So that's why we do it like this. So you're starting the base of your sauce and you're trying to get flavor into every layer. That's what makes for a really flavorful sauce. So you're taking the time to saute things, to let them brown, to really get married in that skillet. So that's one of the basics. If you're learning how to cook, if you've never made a lasagna before, pay attention to the basics. And that's what I try to teach here on this channel is if you're not an experienced cook, you can learn, but you're going to have to take these steps. So mix things well, let them brown. Now I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of parsley, which has been chopped. I like flat leaf parsley. And that's basil. That's about half a cup of basil as the leaves, and then you chop up that half a cup. So it comes to about that much, as you can see that in the video. And I like to saute them and then add a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I prefer crushed tomatoes. I think I've said this on the channel before. A lot of people prefer whole tomatoes and then to crush them themselves. I don't like to add that extra step. I think crushed tomatoes are delicious, and I like the meatiness that it gives to the sauce. It makes for a very robust sauce. So I'm going to mix everything together and maybe turn down the heat a bit so that it can, stay on the heat for about 15 to 20 minutes uncovered. That's important because you want the sauce to thicken a little bit. So as you can see there, I just turned the heat down. And if you have a splatter screen, that's the time to use one. I'm going to add some salt now, about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. If you use table salt, use half a teaspoon. And now half a teaspoon of black pepper. I keep my teaspoon right in the little dishes there where I keep my salt and pepper because it makes it easy to measure everything. You can also do it with your fingers if you're a seasoned cook and you know what you're doing. But I like to measure. I like precision when it comes to cooking and baking, which is one of the reasons I love baking. But, I'm mixing everything up, and now I'm going to make the rest of the filling. So I have a 15-ounce container of ricotta cheese, whole milk, and I'm breaking it up with a fork. As you can see, it was exactly the shape that it came in. And now I'm adding 4 ounces of goat cheese. Now, if you've never used it before, don't be scared. You're not going to be able to taste the goat cheese, but it gives a tanginess that's really important to this filling. It's really delicious. So you break it up with a fork like I'm doing there and mix it in with the ricotta. You're trying to incorporate it. So you have to kind of break it up with the tines of the fork like that, and then make it into a cohesive mixture. So this is a delicious filling. I think the goat cheese makes it. It's delicious. Now I'm adding about 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm not a snob about this. The stuff in the green can is fine. If you're not going to do that by hand from a block of cheese, that's fine as well. So do what you can. But this is, I think this ratio is very important. 15 ounces of ricotta to 1 cup of Parmesan cheese to 4 ounces of goat cheese. That makes for a really flavorful mixture as well. And then I'm just going to add some herbs. Now an egg. 1 egg that you beat into the mixture. This helps to give it a little bit more body. So there's usually a little liquid in the ricotta, and the egg helps to tighten it up. So that's why I add the egg in there. And 1 egg is enough for this mixture. You could double this recipe very easily and make 2 pans of lasagna. And now I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of parsley, also that has been chopped. Again, more flavor. And now I'm adding some salt, so half a teaspoon of salt, and pepper, black pepper. I put black pepper in everything, also half a teaspoon. So that's a very easy filling, and then you're going to layer everything later. With the noodles, and by now the noodles are getting nice and soft. We've been letting them soak for a bit. So all the elements are almost ready. Now I'm going to start layering. So it's very easy. I have the noodles there, and even the broken up pieces, I use everything. I don't leave everything behind. I'm going to start by layering about 1/3 of the sauce, and you can do this by eye on the bottom of the dish. Of the baking dish, and it's very easy to do. It just takes a little bit of time, and that's true of all good cooking. It's going to be a little bit labor intensive, but you can see that each element itself is very easy to make. So if you can, if there's a day when you feel like cooking, you're in the mood, or if you have a lot of people coming and you want to feed, 8 people or so with 1 pan of lasagna for very little money, because it's only basically the cost. What's most expensive here is basically the Italian sausage and the goat cheese. Probably going to be more costly. But other than that, it's a very inexpensive dish. So now 1 layer of noodles, and then about half of the ricotta mixture is going to go there. So 1/3 of the sauce, half the noodles, and half of the ricotta. And then you're trying to get the layers to be as even as you can. And you can see I'm using my fork there because that's what I had in the cheese mixture. I don't need a spatula because I don't want to make anything else dirty. You know, the less that I can make dirty, the better, because there's already a lot of cleanup when you make a lasagna. So I'm always thinking of ways to have less work and to make cooking more enjoyable. Because if you're the cook, maybe you're not the one who cleans up. That's a good thing to pay attention to. And now I'm layering mozzarella. About half the mozzarella, I have about 2 cups. So half would be about 1 cup that I'm putting on this layer. And this is just shredded mozzarella. Part skim is fine. So it's just very, very easy. And then 1 more layer of sauce. If you wanted, you could use fresh mozzarella as well, you know, the discs, and slice it and add it. But I just went with the shredded mozzarella this time. So 1 more layer of sauce, and you can see that the sauce is thick because we cooked it without covering it. So it was uncovered the whole 15 to 20 minutes that it took for it to be ready. So I'm trying to get an even layer and cover all of the cheese that I have there. It makes it very easy to build a lasagna because this is not a very thick lasagna. You have 2 layers, but this is a great lasagna pan. I bought it specifically for lasagna, and it was a little pricey. I think I paid about $75 for that, but it's heavy. So it cooks everything inside very well without browning it too much because it's a heavy lasagna pan. So it's on Amazon. I can link it in the description box down below if you'd like to get it. And you can see that I'm using the little pieces there, and I used up all of the noodles. I had just enough. And that's one thing that you'll see about this lasagna is that the ratios are right on. You don't have anything left over at the end, which I like. I don't like to have little bits and pieces of things in my fridge. So when I make something like a lasagna, I want to know that I'm going to use every bit of it and that the recipe is correct in that sense. So that was half a box of lasagna noodles. So you're probably going to use about 4 or 5 pieces per layer. So you need about 8 to 10 pieces of lasagna noodles to be cooked. So, you know, you're just repeating the layers here. Another layer of noodles, another layer of ricotta mixture. And then, you know, I'm going to finish with the sauce on top, and then just a little bit more cheese because you can never have enough cheese in lasagna. That's how I like mine anyway. And you're going to notice that this lasagna made with Italian sausage is a very different taste than the regular ground beef lasagna that you have. And I think that's positive. You know, sometimes it's good to shake things up a little. Now I'm putting on the rest of the mozzarella cheese, so the last cup of it. And as you can see, I've used all of it up. And it gets to be very easy towards the end. Now I'm just going to finish up with the sauce, the last third of the sauce. And you can see that I'm putting it on different places on the lasagna so that I can just spread it around more easily. So that's what I'm doing there. As you can see, I've used up the entire skillet of sauce. There's nothing left, which is good. So you're looking for even layers there. And I'm going to use the same spoon. You don't need an offset spatula. You don't need a spatula. Just use what you have. But I will say about that spoon, it's kind of like a ladle as well. As you can see, it's a big one. So it serves as a ladle. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. If you can buy specialized equipment like that, that's a great thing to have. But if not, use what you have. If all you have is a wooden spoon, that's fine as well. So I try to get as much as I can off the spoon and out of the skillet so that I don't, you know, throw money down the drain. So everything has been used up, and now I'm just going to put some cheese on top, about a 1/4 cup more of mozzarella cheese, because I like that crusty top on the lasagna. It makes it really delicious. You can also use Parmesan here. And now it just goes in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and that's the finished product. Thank you so much for watching today. Please subscribe if this is your first time watching my videos, or if you've been here before, hit that subscribe button. This is a new channel, so it would really help me out, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Bye.